how can you not love champagne? You know, it's a story itself. Something such a amazing feeling to like open up the bottle of champagne, you know, grabbing a bottle, unwrapping the foil, whipping the wine case, having your thumbs curling with the encore, turning from the bottle, hearing that little flag, and then knowing that one bottle of champagne takes over a year to make. It some takes significantly longer. So it's not produced where you can get well with how soda can just be pumped into a bottle. It's such a labor intense wine, and to appreciate it, you know, as it's for, then why not?
Sit back and grab a glass. It's Wine Talks with Paul K.
Hey, welcome to Wine Talks with Paul K. And we are in studio today in beautiful Southern California. Actually, a little rainy today in Monrovia. About to have a conversation with Marvina Robinson of Stuyvesant Champagne. Introductions in just a moment. Hey, have a listen to Stephanie Franklin's, that's plural. They're both members of the Association of African American Vintners, and they both have a different plight in this industry. One of them is producing wine, or going to produce wine, in a little town called Shankleville, Texas. No one's ever done this before. An amazing story. She's calling back to her roots to go do this for her great-grandfather. As well, another Stephanie Franklin, who just started a brand called Fly Wines, while she's sitting around at a bar with a friend, decided that corporate America was no longer for her and bit off starting her own company, not unlike Miss Marvina Robinson, who we'll talk to today. Hey, give me some good reviews and subscribe. That's how us egotistical podcasters stay in business. We appreciate you listening today. Today we have Marvina Robinson from Stuyvesant. I want to say it like the French would say it. That's the problem, right?
Stuyvesant is how I pronounce it.
Okay, Stuyvesant.
Named after my neighborhood, I go up with that pronunciation.
And this is a champagne brand, which is an amazing story. We'll get into that in just a second. But you call yourself the CEO, chief bottle washer, whatever you call it, right? You're running the show.
Yes, I am the founder and CEO of Stuyvesant.
And how long?
Go ahead.
I mean, we all know, you know, as entrepreneurs, we take on all these roles. But you were not always doing this, getting into this trade. You were in Wall Street, I think, right?
Yes, I worked on Wall Street for 20 years. It was a great career for me. You know, I just began to change love probably in the last 5 years. Champagne was my hobby, and I would go back and forth to Greg to kind of like explore champagne. I really wanted to know more about champagne. I always believe you have to immerse yourself in the culture. So I just started doing that, and you can read as many things you want on Google, whatever classes you want to take, and it's nothing like being hands-on and in the purple to really learn and understand. And that's basically what I did. And long story short, we can get into it a little later. I just decided to take a risk for myself and start Beef Weinstein. And some people may not realize is that this was not originally meant to be for retail. I was really opening up small champagne bar to introduce a lot of grower champagne, which I find so beautiful. And that's when I was going back and forth to Greg. I would research these brands, and I still do. And I was going to import them over, which I still do. I import over small batches. I help people clients build out their champagne portfolio. People will look for something different. It's like still my hobby. And the Stuyvesant was going to be the house brand of the small champagne bar. COVID came, had inventory, and we went to one store. From there, it just grew on its own, and that is the business, became the business. And when I decided to go, I only launched the 2 days. I decided that I actually now then wanted to actually build a full portfolio for the business, and that's basically what I've been doing over the past couple years.
Did you have any wine experience prior to this? I mean, like you just used the word cuvee, which is certainly a wine term. But when you ventured into this, did you just start from scratch, or you just had an appreciation for bubbly?
So I basically started when I started going back and forth with friends. I just started picking up the language and understanding it a little bit better. I call myself Flora the Explorer. When I want to learn something, I like go in my rabbit hole. So I just learn and I adapt it. Like I think prior to launching this magazine, my wine knowledge wasn't I wasn't like I wasn't a big wine head.
Yeah.
I always liked sparkling. Well, originally started how I really came to Champagne. My boyfriends and I we were from, in Brooklyn, hang on the street, and we went to different colleges. And what we would do was to catch up, we would get a bottle of champagne, we'll share it, couldn't really afford it, but we'll share a bottle, that plastic cup, and we'll just sit in the stoop, fucking catch up. And then one time, I remember one of my friends, we were in this party camp, but we were like, oh, we could get 3 bottles of these instead of versus 1 bottle. And unfortunately, that's how I caught it. Like, what is the difference between the two? And I'm like, okay, this brand versus this brand versus this brand. And lo and behold, I thought, oh, this one is sparking my interest. And slowly but surely, I actually decided to do the research.
It's kind of interesting you said that because the story you just told is very similar to Tilar Mazio, who's the woman that wrote Widow Clicquot, who's now it's a movie. I'm sure you're
Hmm.
familiar with all
Yeah, I
the
haven't
whole
seen it
story.
yet, but I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, I did notice that at least so far, the picture they used of the woman they use as the actress is much better looking than the actual Widow Clicquot. And
I know nothing
she's
about that.
it's just she's passed away. I guess I can say that. But no, the story's interesting because it was friends getting together, sharing a glass of champagne, and then peeling back the story a little more, trying to figure out what this is all about, and then landed in her part. She actually started making wine, sparkling wine in Vancouver Island in Washington. But it's kind of interesting that wine does that to you, that you're with your friends, that you're having a glass, and all of a sudden
Yeah, it's just something amazing. I get this feeling like, first of all, I only drink champagne, right? I don't drink liquor, only drink champagne.
you
I
go,
don't
girl.
I don't drink the other different stuff. I mean, unless I absolutely have to, if I'm like at an event or that's all they have, most of the time I'll forego it. Sometimes I'll just hold it and take a sip if I really feel like I want to take a sip of something. Um, so I have an expensive habit, that's people say. But it's just something so celebratory. I hope I said that right. That's my
Celebratory,
that's
well, now
my
you
top
got me
word.
stumbling.
Think with the word. Something such a amazing feeling to like open up the bottle of champagne, grabbing a bottle, unwrapping the foil, twisting the wine cage, that six twistle, having your thumbs curling the encore, turning from the bottle, hearing that little Wow. And then knowing that 1 bottle of champagne takes over a year to make, it some takes significantly longer. So it's not produced where you can get well with how soda can just be pumped into a bottle. It's such a labor intense wine and to appreciate it, as it's for, then why not?
That's a really interesting thought that you just brought up because it's really important, particularly for listeners and people that are dabbling in wine that want to learn about wine. Yes, I taught my son-in-laws the concept of champagne and the value of that glass. And now you're right; it's costing me plenty to keep stocked in what I serve at the house. And it's an interesting thought because just the mere boy, we're both having trouble with words today. The sheer um, aspect of making honest champagne, real champagne from the Champagne district with the proper riddling and the proper aging and the proper cuvee automatically qualifies the wine for what I call honest glass of wine, which is not played with, not doctored up, not the stuff you see on the shelf at the market that's got sugar and acid and all the things they add to it so that it has a profile that's similar to the previous year's profile. Champagne is really by trade what an honest glass of wine that reflects something, some time and some place. Was that the intriguing part of that for you? That
It is because you think about like you have these. It starts with harvest season. If hand picking the grape, right? Then you go to your first press. Then you go into your second. Your fermentation where you're gonna get where the bubbles are organically made, not organically as far as like the product oil.
right,
You know,
right,
not Yeah, I'm losing words all types of.
yeah, it's kind of
No,
bizarre. Maybe it's
enjoy.
the
It's just the whole process that I love about it, and it just and you think about it, you have the primary 3 grades, Pinot Noir, Meunier, Chardonnay, and there's so many different brands of champagne that can have these beautiful tasting profiles. And, like, how can you not love champagne, And it's just it's a story itself, and And I feel like anytime I enjoy it, whether I'm happy, sad, or whether it's business, non-business, it's just something that for me, like I keep a journal of all the bottles that I drink.
Wow, that's great.
And I go back and I make it mark so I can see which one I've been drinking the most. I have for data. And I just love the whole process. It's like nostalgic to me.
My wife doesn't like champagne. Can you imagine that? I could only get, and I try to stump her though. I did the other day. I stumped her with a Grenache from Spain because she won't drink Rhone varietals typically, and she usually catches me trying to stump her. But she does not appreciate champagne. So it's not grounds for divorce or anything. It's just, it's just
What
a thing.
what's your bottle of choice?
Myself, I try everything like you do. Right now in stock, I have a lot of Roederer 242 and 243. Um, I've got some uh, Limo, Mousseau de Limo. I've got some Tétanger, and mainly because when I have a guest as yourself, I make sure I bring the wines in, and so it's kind of an interesting thought when you made me think about Clovis Tétanger. He was on the show twice, and I suppose you're in the same thought process that champagne is not generally accepted as most people for celebrations only.
Yes, people, that's a myth, right? Because I guess it has like the sparkling bubble. Like champagne could be for anything. Just like you can finish champagne for an entire 8 course, 10 course on meal. And that's something that Pete Stuyvesant is moving forward to in 2025, where we're um when we begin hosting champagne dinners where we show, yeah, like you can clear a full dinner all nothing but champagne.
I think that's. I just went to one actually at the Getty Museum here, and it was incredible. And then the next week I went to a pairing of late harvest um, wines from the Niagara Falls area. So I mean, you could, if you do it right, you can pair most wines with food. But champagne is very versatile that way. And I wonder if the general public, how do you sense what the general public is thinking in the variety of styles that you can get? And then even among, let's say, Brut Rosés, there's so many different uh, styles and character based on the maker. Do people recognize that, your clients? Are they coming to the table saying, wow, I'm starting to notice and I'm starting to understand the differences?
I think a
No.
lot of I think a lot of people come and they have these theories and they're interested theories. And I feel my role is to not shoot down their theories, but to open their eyes, how to further evolve or look at champagne. And it's just not about being Stuyvesant, about the overall champagne industry itself, the overall wine itself. Um, and that's what it depends on what they come with. They say I only drink this, and I just be like, well, there's thousands of champagne. You shouldn't punish your palate. Just I only drink that. Like, though I own a champagne company, I drink a variety of champagne. Now, there's some that I will not drink because I don't. My palate is not in front of it. But there's so many that I love to explore, and and that's my thing. Like for myself, I go to different wine shops or when I'm traveling. I try to find rare bottles so that I can have them into um, my wine fridge, and I share them with my friends sometimes. Um, Sometimes I just want to only share with anybody.
Yeah. I mean, how do you just, it's a really interesting question, just sort of on a social side, people come to the house and there's certain things that you don't open because you're not sure that the appreciation of the story or the history of that particular bottle is going to be, is going to register with anybody. So you bring out nice wines that you want people to enjoy, but you kind of want to bring out that really special bottle. And you're sort of like,
I do that stuff, but I'm a hoster. So I host a lot in my house and I invite my friends over and we just have a good time together. We're eating, we're drinking. Um, I'm normally the champagne provider and I bring out what I choose to bring out. When I bring out a special bottle, I kind of tell them why that bottle is special. I try to, I don't want to educate my friend, but I give them some guidance on champagne if they want it. I don't force it down their throat. And sometimes when I'm hanging out, I'm like, I don't want to club champagne. I just want to hang out with my friends and just have a good time. Naturally, it comes out here and there, but It's more about like sitting amongst my friends and enjoying a good glass of wine.
You know, that's an interesting thought. I was just at dinner last night at my brother-in-law's, and since you're in the industry, you know, the conversation tends to move that way. And what I've found over all these years is that, you know, I run with it. Again, try not to intimidate anybody with information and dole it out as people are interested, but it always comes back to a non-threatening conversation about wine in general, right? And so people want to talk about it and they want to hear the stories. And if you're not arrogant and spouting off soil types and things like that that they can't understand, but they have legitimate questions on what is so special or what it is. And there's a movie, maybe you've seen it, it's a French movie. It was on the plane the other day, come back from Montreal, and it was um, set in the 1800s, you know, just after Madame Clicquot was popular. And
Mm-hmm.
the concept was between a gentleman and a woman chef. But he says in the movie that wine is the intellectual part of a meal. And I thought that was so poignant because it really does stimulate the conversation, and
That's the word the
champagne even more,
conversation, right?
right?
So
So when you talk about champagne with your friends or even guests that have never dined with you before, do you feel like the conversation goes that direction, and B, you have to sort of be throttle out what you're going to say?
it always goes that way. So when I'm out with my friends, I'm a very laid back, I'm an in the cut person. So I let's just say you and I were at dinner. I didn't know you. We were all in the same table or the same room. I would not say, "Oh, I own what company you own," right? I'm just here having a good time or trying to have a good time. It would be my friend that'd be like, "Oh, she owns this. Let's ask her this." And I'm like, sometimes I don't want that responsibility. Um, because sometimes I just want to have fun, right? You think about it as an entrepreneur, you work all day. Your mind always flowing, going. I just don't wear the hat as the CEO, right? Sometimes I'm shipping, I'm packing, I'm not facing on with you, facing. Work a little bit of everything that you have to do. And sometimes you want to have that for me. But going back to your another question, yes, like as the person who is a champagne enthusiast, that does need a lot of conversation. And I agree, sometimes it can be positive or negative conversation depending on who's on the other side of the conversation. And then and for me now, sometimes if I'm really adamant or I know if I want to take the conversation there, then I'll push the conversation more. But also, it's also about also reading the room. You might have other people in this space that might not be interested in this topic. So I always tell people, don't follow the room. Other people are there, this is a politician that doesn't even happen right now, or and why.
For instance, I've told my friends, do not tell the som if we call one over to give me the wine list and then tell them he's an expert, whatever that means.
Hmm.
That's the word they use, because that's when the som rolls their eyes and
Right.
goes right. And they're like, "Oh my god!" And one of those guys, which I'm
Hmm.
not. I don't choose not to talk about it.
Hmm.
But certainly, if it's time to talk about it, I'm happy to do it. Like I said, it does provide conversation points. And if you're humble about it, it's a great conversation. Because people really want to know. I mean, they really want to learn if they're interested to hear the different stories that go with a different bottle. So when you started this idea, you came up with it. You flew to France. You probably uh, quickly indoctrinated the romantic side of wine, and particularly in France in the Champagne district. What were some of the things that you didn't expect when you took on importing and or branding?
I didn't expect all the paperwork, right? I just wanted the fun part. The paperwork was a lot for me. It was very heavy. And you think about it, it's designing a bottle. Like you think about you have fork, you have the white things, you have the foil, you have the cap, you have the label, you have all the factors in the label. You have to go through cola, was it all your license, your label approved. The packaging, what is your bot going to make like? When it gets here, like how am I pack through this? Like where is it going and what am I storing it there? Where is the warehouse? Is it temperature control? Those little tidbits I was not prepared, and they always come up. And I look at it where I'm a problem solver for myself. I don't solve other people's problems while I'm for myself. Where as an entrepreneur starting this business, I own my business myself 100%. I don't have any investors or loans or anything. I try to work on make sure I can keep my money in house for one. All the labels on our bottles I designed myself in PowerPoint. Hire somebody from Upwork to do my PMYK files, and then I send it to my closet. Right, same thing without oil. I'm also about clean lines. I don't need a whole bunch of scribbles or fanciness. I want to see the name and the brand, and that's it. Um, I didn't know how I really wanted to grow the brand. I just knew what I wanted. I knew the end product. I didn't know how it was going to grow. And I'm thankful that the brand grew itself on its own organically. I don't have a big PR team. I don't even have a PR team. I don't have a community sketches team. People organically find these Stuyvesant and they organically
Mm.
grew to love these Stuyvesant and the brand grew, right? So I'm thankful for all our followers on our Instagram page because all of our consumers, all of our customers, oh, the brand. Every time you buy a bottle, you give it as a gift or you share it at a dinner, we're exposing somebody else to be Stuyvesant. So that's what I love about our brand. Like, I could actually, oh, who do you page and you feel not in my bubble. And it's important to me because, you know, people believed in these Stuyvesant, right? Believe in the brand. We have an amazing product. Um, and that's how we're continuing to grow.
You said a mouthful there. You touched on so many points of entrepreneurship, and I want to just peel some of them back. I mean, it's not for everybody,
You
and
got that right.
it,
It's
yeah.
not. Definitely not for the weak. And let me tell you, I have
And
a
where did
wife.
it come from you?
Oh, I'm a hustler, I'm a Brooklyn girl. So I have always had just be like Nike and just go. I'll find a way to get it done. Not my first business. It's my first business I'm really vested in. I used to
Yeah.
own a cafe. I used to own an Indian cycle studio, and those were like open full options, and I was still working full time, not putting my all into it. Um, I'm just a go getter, and I like to like if I have a vision of things, I like to see it out, pull it to the final end product, and it's just part of my personality. I do have a dominant personality. Try not to, but it does come out here and there. Um, and I would believe if you have a dream or something, like don't just sit on it. Like explore that can't be explored anymore.
That's a great philosophy, but not only did you do that, and you've already been in hospitality. It sounds like a couple more times, which is itself a brutal and difficult business to do. So you are not afraid, and I think that's an entrepreneurial spirit: is not to be afraid and not look at the headwinds first, but to challenge them when you see them.
Right.
But then you picked alcohol, which carries a whole other layer of bureaucracy and a whole layer of headwinds to it as well. But it does take, I think, in the alcohol, the extra level of complication is where the passion drives you through to the end game. If you don't have the passion to do this, I mean,
Right. And being in the alcohol industry, wine industry, it's a lot, right? You have distribution, which is still a problem for me, but I figured it out very slowly. And when one doesn't work, you just got to be able to shift gears to get to the next. I've learned that you can't harbor or sit at something or cry about something too long because it's not going to happen nothing. You just got to, get up and keep moving. Like, I have up and down days, and this day dives down, and I'll pick a day where I say, no, today's my pretty day, or today's my sad day, today's my Friday. Well, I had to come over my head. Listen, I'm not great. I cry. But guess what? The next day I get up and I be like, let's go, and I think about what's my next move. I don't live too far from my office and I drive, right? I hate driving. And there's some days I like to get on the train. And while I'm on the train, I'm thinking, I'm manifesting my day. Like, if I have a blocker the day before, I'm thinking about it like, okay, how am I going to take this off my fatigue? What am I going to do to get around it? And this is it. And but 9 out of 10 times for me, like, I'll figure it out. And it might have to be in depth, but I feel like I have a good folk net of people where I will bounce ideas off and they give me good feedback. This is important. I think also as an entrepreneur, you should also have a good set of circle of people who going to give you the good, the bad, and ugly. Don't always praise you. Won't have your people around you. Um, and that works for me. But I would say, like, you have to be able to move back and forth as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or a leader in the industry you want to do, because there's always going to be a challenge, a roadblock, or some new law might go into effect that's going to mess up your entire business. So you have to be in the shift quickly so that you're not standing on the outside looking in like, oh man, what happened?
You know, it's kind of like recognizing even subtle opportunities to fix a problem or to grow. In my career, I did this for 35 years. I just sold the company last year. It was all 100% DTC. In fact, we invented the idea in the 70s. My father did. So I always had a conservative sort of friend or confidant, and I had a liberal one, not politically, but business wise. And I would always use those two to sort of come up with the framework of a decision. And wherever I've done, for instance, when I was at school, when I was in the fraternity, I was the president, I had a very conservative treasurer, and I used to go to him for that right side, no risk decision. And I would go to the other guy for that, pie in the sky dreamer decision. And then I would massage that information. But you need to do that in this business, particularly with the wine trade, because sometimes on your train ride, the problem that was bothering you 2 days ago becomes much clearer.
Right.
And all of a sudden the solution shows up. And sometimes it's a pretty good solution. It's like, wow, why didn't I think of this earlier?
Exactly. That's happened to me numerous times. And I'm like, I hate to say it sometimes, but like, they'll all work out. The cliche statement, but it happened.
No, it always will. The other thing you said while you were talking about it was the brand building part, an OPR team. And I find this a lot. I just got back from a tasting last week, and I was talking to all the small boutique. There was mostly Napa vintners, and they're all crying the blues. Really, our industry's sort of in a tough spot. Champagne was taking a hit not too long ago, but Bordeaux is in a tough spot right now, and I think in general consumption's down. There's this whole non-alcoholic movement, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But for you to grow a brand organically that's a pretty tall order and I think it goes back to doing the right thing. And this is what I mean. Again, having trouble with my words today. But there's a whole movement amongst sort of Gen Xers and millennials, and we have to innovate in our industry and we have to create this stuff. And it almost sounds like we're trying to dupe people into trying our wines or trying to do something by a package, by using a pouch or a can or a Tetra Pak or something. When the reality of it is, what you're doing is exactly what's needed, which is this organic. It's slower. It's word of mouth. It's having that discussion. It's pouring the bottle. It's pouring that bottle, having them taste, telling the story with an earnest objective to help people understand what a good glass of wine is. You feel that's the direction that it needs to be?
Yes. That sounds perfect the way you said it. It is like an organic, and it's a slow but steady process, right? You spread out, and for me, would I change it to be faster? Maybe, right? To be in a better state. But I will say that I do not regret the way my business was formed and how every step that we take to get to where we are. It has been a learning lesson. It has been a blessing. I have met so many wonderful people that have come from different countries to come visit me. I had people that came from Amsterdam. I had people that came from Japan, people that come from Canada, different states that come to visit us. Oh, I read about you in the paper and they take the time to come and visit. So I'll tell you a quick story. So we just moved into a new place, and we're thinking in placement because we're literally moving. We're gonna build the Navy Yard, but we'll move to different buildings. And I had a couple come in from Tennessee, and they didn't make a reservation or whatever. I'm like, we're in the middle of moving, and like you had moving gear, like literally, like, oh, this year for one more day in Tennessee. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna do the tasting. I said, just give me like, let me find a setup where I can properly post you. If we have a large tasting table that seats 10 people, and never into the table pump. Well, we took a jab. We moved to the fab. We put like my sink book on it and everything. I bought a shelf, and I made an ambulance for them, and we literally just sat and we just talked about champagne and tastings and everything. And that was the best 1.5 hours of my time because that day, it made me appreciate my brand. And this is what I realized I love this. Like, I want to sit and I want to talk about tasting. I want to talk about champagne. Of course, naturally, I want to start with beef stylists and then step out of different champagnes and be like a little mini teacher of champagne. Like, that's what one of my goals is to be a teacher or a professor of champagne. So I want to do this teacher.
Isn't that the reward of what we do when you have that commitment from a client who trusts you so much uh, that when they go back to Tennessee and they're talking about their trip and who knows where they went on the entire trip, but you know that they're going to have the conversation with their friends about this woman who took her time and opened champagne for us, even though she was in the middle of a move. And it ties right into this concept of experiential innovation, and this is my new word, because I'm tired of listening to these pundits, these kids that haven't done this, haven't risked a penny, haven't sat in front of um, customers and heard what they had to say to develop your next strategy and to understand the value of this glass of wine. We need to be innovative, and I think experiential innovation is really where it's at, and meaning that was innovative. I mean, it may not seem like it to you because you were moving, but you made an attempt. You set up a little booth, a little tasting table, and you got it done. And those people went back and told the story. And I was just in Bordeaux at Chateau Bailly, and they built this incredible new winery facility, which is entertaining amongst the concrete and wood barrels. And it's this beautiful facility, and it's for clients who want to experience Chateau Bailly. You show up, and you're in this immersive environment that teaches people about Bordeaux. And so I think that's the course that this industry needs to take. And this patch, you can't see it here. This is called Les Amis de Vin. It was a group of wine enthusiasts in the 70s. There were 150 chapters in America. My dad had a chapter in his store, and that's what it was. They would show up at the store. They'd show up at a dinner. The women wore their minks. The guys wore their tuxes. Robert Mondavi would speak. And that's what wine was founded as in America, as this experience and this idea. And, you can learn as much as you want to learn. You don't have to be an aficionado, but you have to be able to experience it. And I think you're doing exactly the right thing at the right time to do this.
It is about experience. Like I have a friend who we always say everything should be an experience, right? So when people come into my tasting room, I want them to have it's positive. Like, I want to have an experience. I want them to leave like, wow, that was amazing. Or, wow, I learned something. Or I just enjoyed myself today. And that's the vibe that I want to create here and work. Yeah, a lot of questions that come, oh, is this real champagne? And has it come from a champagne region? I'm like, yeah, it's real thing. I'm
Real
all
shit.
I'm aware of that. But made it to be called champagne. I have some type of intellect. And I definitely will know, like, have a seat and just sit back and learn it.
Wow, that's great.
Or just enjoy the vibe and what's coming here as a tasting room or wherever I'm at eating.
I was up in Napa, I guess it was July, when the Association of African American Vintners had their tasting. I promised Angela McCrae I would come, and I tasted every single wine that was there, and I enjoyed myself, had a great time, and had this amazing conversation with Phil Long, I think his name is. And we grew up literally. He's 1 year younger than I am, 2 blocks from each other in Inglewood. So he grew up on 82nd Street, and I grew up on 84th Street. And we were literally like a bike ride away from each other. So the conversation turned from wine to this, like, Inglewood in the day. But I'm going to say it was early 2000s, probably. Some social issue was going on in America, and I contacted the AAAV to see if I could get some samples to put in the club. And there were 5 members at the time, and now there's 200 plus. and you just earned some accolades from the group. Tell me about that.
Right. So I just won a grant from the Miracle Nation, and I'm very thankful for it. When I first entered the industry, when we launched in 2020, they were one of the groups that I actually reached out to. Like, I'm interested in knowing more about it. I was trying to find my peers in the wine industry, right? You think about it, like some people and some wine professionals are very stuffy, very boxed in, or don't mostly be, that. And I was just trying to find my way to fit in. Because so different people to know in the industry. And I reached out to them and they did some amazing event. I know Wine Bees did one partnership with them. And then I got to know some of the people within the actual appropriation and it was cool. So I had, I joined. And then I filled out the paperwork, went through the whole process and I won a grant. It's actually the first grant that I ever won. Um, Grants are hard. You gotta sit down and fill out all that paperwork, and a lot of time videos are required. And as entrepreneurs, it's time I don't have time to do it all. So I will, like, oh, I can't do this right now. I always have a little bit more time, which is something that I have to work on for myself, or have my dad begin to work on starters so that I can more finish it from there. But yeah, so it's a great profession to be a part of. You meet a lot of the vintners, you meet a lot of people that's in the industry, and people who just all want to learn. Unfortunately, I didn't miss the event that they did have because I was back in front. But I look forward to the next major event to be there to see some people that I haven't met in person. This will be great.
It was a very professional. It was at next to Oxbow, Julia Child's old school. I forgot the name of it now. Uh, the cooking school took it over, but it was really well done. It was really interesting. I'll tell you a funny story. There's a young girl. She's in Oakland, and I'm desperately seeking her name in my head, but she was making wine from flowers. You may know her. She is cute, bubbly girl. And I had her on the show, and she's making wine from flowers. And I said, "Well, what do you? I mean, seriously, what do you? What are your headwinds?" She said, "Well, um, racism, sexism, and grape supremacy." I go, "What does that mean?" She said, "Well, I go into the liquor stores and the wine shops, and I say I have wine from flowers, and they tell me they don't sell wine unless it's made from grapes." I thought that's really that's really funny. And not only am I was impressed with her for producing wine like that, but she was able to get the ABC and the TTB to license a 20-foot storage container as a winery. Now that took some entrepreneurship, right?
It is. It is. It's a lot of things. I feel like for me, as a smaller brand, I have freedom in how I grow my business and the things that is cool. Um, where definitely we have some big things coming in 2025. Have one big major thing. I probably announced it a little bit ago, but I have to get all the keep this together, waiting for more approval. Um, and one thing we're doing is definitely picking up the champagne dinners in March, and every month we're gonna have them in a different state. And then we open our tasting room and we'll continue to share my lovely knowledge.
Well, the reason I brought it up was because there's, there's I've had a lot of women on the show. There's something like 25% of the population of women coming out of enology school. I just sent off a young girl who was an intern here at Wine of the Month Club to. She got accepted to Cornell Enology School, and she probably is going to earn a internship this summer at Chateau Cheval Blanc. And there's still this small percentage of women in the executive ranks of the wine and distilled spirits industry, as well as people of color. And here you are, a woman of color who's started a brand in a very, very specific brand in a very specific part of the world. Did you feel like you have experienced any sexism or racism along
Oh,
this path?
absolutely. Yeah.
Really? In
And
what part?
in one part, comment, uh, when I was first started, it will never go anywhere. It's you're not French, you're black, you're a woman. Um, Even sometimes we have people that send in interesting emails, and it's okay, because at the end of the day, I'm doing what I love. And if it bothers you that much, then that's your problem. Um, And it's a lot to take because sometimes on the wrong day, like on the wrong day, it can really sting, right? Days you gotta have your armor on and it's like elves, it just pop off you. But some days you're vulnerable, like as a woman, women are emotional and I'm emotional at some days. And it'll just sting sometimes and then sometimes, you might want to respond. Or sometimes I never responded professionally. So I had this one guy, and he said this was when I first launched, and we were in some virtual room, and he accidentally sent me the message to me, in the Zoom room, and he said this was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. She'll never go nowhere with this brand. It's just a hope for the period that we were in. This is a Me Too. Even this is a Me Too playbook, something like that. And I statement, and when we got back to the room, people say questions or whatever you could upload. So I screenshotted it, not uploading it. And I said, I just want to reply to this outwardly. I'm like, one, if you ever have something to say to me, we're all in the room. Don't send it to your friend. You can send it to me. And I said, two, I'm pretty serious about what I'm doing. Like I know what I'm doing. I'm not, uneducated. I'm not stupid or anything. And I addressed them professionally, right? And the moderator of the group ended up apologizing to me. No, he never apologized to me. But guess where I saw him at? I saw him at a couple years ago at the British wine show. And he was one of the thermos there. And we came to my table. And I had like a lot of people was at my table. And came to my table. And I said, oh, I remember you. You remember me, right? I said, you said that this will never go anywhere. I said, well, let me taste you my portfolio of six. Come, you stand right here. And he was like, oh, I think you just read it the wrong way. I said, no, I didn't.
Oh,
I said, no, I didn't.
it's
Um,
pretty obvious.
but he didn't want to do the tasting or anything. I guess that he was more embarrassed. And then more importantly, that I directed, right? Um,
Wow.
and if I ever
That's
prove it again, I
amazing.
will direct it again because, when you say things like that, it's actually like, why? Like, is wine sexist? Does wine have a color? It
It's like,
shouldn't.
why wouldn't you just say, man, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a mistake. And I'd love to taste the wines and see
Right.
what you've done.
Exactly. So, but
Well, you don't need the extra headwinds, but I'm sure it's real. We know it's real, but sometimes that just inspires
it does
to
inspire because,
put your head down more.
and I still have that screenshot. I have it in my computer. So someday on my lowest day, I'll look at it. Um, but I say to drive it to come from within, right? Because you don't have to prove anything to anybody else but yourself. And for me, I took a risk on myself, leaving a very great career in finance, financially comfortable to come to the side of entrepreneurship, not knowing anything as far as like is ready. Yeah, it was gonna hit it. And I felt like I'm making my stride, right? The first 2 years of business, we had COVID pandemic. So those business metrics are not the easiest. Then you have the third year of business where you're still in a gray area. Consumers are now going out. So the marketing, the buying trends are changing. And we're now in year 4. So I would say I'm what thank you. I'm weathering the storm. We're coming up into year 5 in February 12th. Um, and I'm I'm excited to see where these servicing growth in the next 3 years. And I'll be more excited when we get our 10-year ball to be in the industry. And I am proud of myself to bring this brand to life, and surviving it. It's not easy. It's a roller coaster, but it's my roller coaster to ride the ride up and down because I believe in myself and I believe in my brand. And I now have consumers who are regular buyers of these items and then look for our products for whether it's everyday, not everyday consumption. We don't invite many alcoholics, but for having that help for every day for the holiday season or gifting or see, mean a lot to me. And then we are their go-to for those items. So I'm excited about that.
You've done something amazing, and that your 4 years is great. Did you have um, was your e-commerce functioning during COVID yet, or you just started?
No, we were functioning. I made sure that was functioning.
because COVID was incredible for my
Yeah, so
company.
I think that really helped us. I didn't have distribution for the first 3 years of business. I only did direct to consumer. I only started distribution last year. Um, and
Well, it digs into the margins when you do that. So
right.
the DTC is
So
the way to go if you can do it.
it's a lot of work,
Oh, it's a
think
lot of work.
about like packaging, you think about that, and you think about like peak time order. It's a lot to manage. And I
Well,
mean,
it's at least a two-legged stool, if not a three-legged stool, particularly in your side. Here at the Wine of the Month Club, it was memberships, gifts, and bottle sales that
mm-hmm.
floated the boat. In your case, you're going to need distribution because there's less work to it, but the
You
margins are
work
less.
what right away, right?
And then the DTC, which gets you all the margins in the world, but takes more effort to get it.
Exactly.
How, so this organic marketing we were talking about a little bit before we started, but you don't have a PR firm. You don't have, you have a little team there, and you guys are doing your own social, your own Instagram, your own Facebook, um, blogging. What are the things what prongs do you have facing the public to tell people about your brand?
Social media. We have a
Social
really
media.
good people that subscribe to our website. We're not scammers, but I hate spam. Well, I send stuff out maybe 1 or 2 times a month. We make sure that it's enriching. We do tasting on profiles in our newsletter. Around the holiday time, we might send out books. We like to do pairing, collaborations coming out. Um, and then it also becomes word of mouth, one person spreads to the other. We have a presence here on the book and maybe yard. People come in to do tasting. People have a reservation. You prefer if we have a reservation, and some people might pop in, and if we're there and can accommodate, then I will accommodate. It's just word of mouth basically, and people find that we're research. I'm fortunate that we've had been led in a lot of great articles. So we do have
Hmm.
online presence coming to, if people want to Google us, a lot of articles pop up, those shows that we've been allowed and what we can do. And that's it, and then we're carried in the nice amount of stores where people are learning the brand, and some stores that do tastings that are come in, meet the maker. And we have our own, like, we do pop up in different states. And I was just in LA 2 weeks ago, so we did pop up in LA. We had a pop up in Washington, D.C. coming up December 14th.
Where
And
in LA were you?
LA,
Yeah,
uh,
no, what part?
downtown.
No, would have come and joined you had I known.
Oh, yeah, I was there for 3 days.
And who's
Yeah.
the supplier here, the distributor in LA?
We self-distribute in LA until January 1st, and we have a new distributor that's Pitbull. Uh,
Who's that?
uh, we're not announcing it until January 1st.
Oh, okay. I
But
probably know them.
yes, you do know him. Um, but they'll take over the distribution there. And my goal for 2025 is to get out to different states and do some of these tastings and dinners. Well, we have Houston up in March, and then we're planning to a different state every month for the whole 2020. Excluding January and February. March, we have our big grand reopening of our tasting room. Well, we're open, but putting all the elements together will be in March. Our limited edition that's been out of stock for 2 years will finally be back in stock. So we went ahead bought that's going to be our kickoff. And then also introducing our new Cuvée Eminent, which is being released in March.
They say that women are better at multitasking than men, and my wife would certainly agree with that. Because, because all those irons in the fire in our industry, each one of them requires a certain amount of commitment to get to the finish line because they are
That,
wrought with headwinds, and you're doing it. We're out of time already, which is incredible. We have so much more to talk about. And so we're going to do it again, and I hope if you come to LA, we're going to have a chance to taste together. But I'm going to ask you a question. This is a book. It's since you're a Francophile now, as I am. This is a book called "Wine is the Best Medicine."
uh-huh,
It's written by Dr. Murray.
uh-huh.
This is from the 70s, and it's basically a whole bunch of human maladies and the curative wine. And they're all French varietals. So this is French guy. There's no Spanish or American the wines that solve the problems of the human race. So I'm going to give you an ailment, and I'm going to give you 3 choices to solve this problem. Now, I'm just no pressure because no one ever gets it right. I mean, the number of people get it right is 33%, which is exactly the odds you would expect, except that much like a master of wine test or a master som test, there should be an underlying reason why you chose this selection. So I'm going to give you the fever, like if you have a fever, which I didn't have on my cold this time around, but let's say I had a fever, I could drink a Saint-Emilion Rouge, a young Beaujolais, or a dry Brut Champagne. Which one should I take and why? And there's a dosage to this, by the way.
Oh, which one should you take?
Yeah, which one should I take to solve my fever?
Okay,
Saint-Emilion, Beaujolais, or dry Champagne?
so you're gonna take the dry root champagne. You're gonna take it with pearls. Champagne is the powerful to answer for everything.
It's a what?
Champagne is the answer for everything.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's a good answer. Now I set you up. You know, that was a softball thing because yeah, you're right. It is champagne, and the reason that Dr. Murray says is because these wines contain, among other things, 2 important elements for a feverish person: phosphorus, which is eminently stimulating, and sulfur, in its sulfate of potassium form, whose detoxifying action on the body has been established. So what dosage would you recommend now that you are the know of this problem?
What voltage? In what format do you mean it voltage? Do you mean like milliliters, glasses?
Oh yeah, glasses, I suppose. Let's say a 5-ounce glass,
I would say, take the 5-ounce glass, then wait 40 more minutes to another 5-ounce glass. Then wait an hour, then take another.
All right, so that's almost 2/3 of a bottle, 3/4 of a bottle. Well, here's the picture. See that big bottle there?
This is the whole bottle. See, I was getting there. You cut me off. I was getting there. You saw it? I was getting there.
Yeah, you were very close.
Yeah,
2 more glasses and we would have been done.
I was there. You cut me
Yeah,
off.
you had it.
Take the rest of the bottle.
All right, we'll give you credit for that.
I
It's
was
been a pleasure to hear your story and your path to this great industry, and looking forward to tasting the wines. I will find them and bring them into my riddle rack at home and share them with my friends and tell the story as well. But it's been a pleasure to have you on, and I look forward to meeting you one day in person. Maybe we'll be in Shankville, Texas, when she opens her winery there.
I haven't checked that place out, but I'll actually back on the West Coast Cooler and that.
We're around.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.